When we look and dig into the COT report, okay, looking at the non-commercials, okay, for August 1st, this Friday it came out. As always, just looking at sterling. Now, if we look at sterling, okay, there, if we look at where they are, longs 87,000, shorts 99,000. Okay, that's been a flip. They have cut, all right, 6,000 longs and added 6,000 shorts. All right, that's why we've seen that kind of net position flip there. Okay, that's what's going on there. Right, we'll look at that more in a particular moment. Another one that's kind of interest to watch is Japanese yen, where the non-commercials have trimmed their longs and added 15,000 shorts. When I see numbers, big numbers like that, it does start to sort of grab my attention a bit, and we'll look at that we'll look at that in a moment as well. All right, so let's go deep into some of those COT reports. Okay, so this is sterling futures. As we said, looking at the non-commercials, all right, they've trimmed nearly 6,000 longs, added 6,500 shorts. Okay, but look at this, the commercials. All right, the commercials have added 20,000, nearly 21,000 longs, and only 1,700 shorts. And that is why we've talked about it for the last few weeks about how it's flipped. All right. It's flipped there. You can see, the commercials have been slowly trimming their shorts, and then basically now they are long. And what we've also seen is the small speculators, they are now short as well. Okay. If you look at that, okay, they trimmed 2,800 longs, added 3,500 shorts. That's what we're seeing there. So there has been that flip there, and we'll see how that basically carries out in terms of sterling over the next month or so. Right, but I think those of you who watch this and join me most weeks, we've talked about this throughout the last month that this is kind of this has been building in terms of a sterling flip. Look at dollar index. Even the dollar index. Look, the commercial longs. Okay, they're getting trimmed. The non-commercial shorts, they're getting trimmed. The small speculator shorts, they're getting trimmed. All right. That doesn't necessarily mean that short trend is over. We'll look at the dollar in a moment. But when we start to see trimming like that occurring, you do have to sit and take notes because it's the dollar. Look at Japanese yen futures, a little bit the same as I said. Non-commercials, right? The non-commercials trimmed 2,200 long, added 15,000 short. But then look at the commercials. Commercials trimmed 3,000 shorts, but added 21,600 longs. All right, they've added longs. The commercials have been short, but look at that. That's changing, isn't it? The non-commercials they are adding their shorts. Those positions are coming smaller, and the small speculator is still a net long, but you can see the direction of travel there, can't you? So kind of it does start to you do start to think and stuff if what's going on there. Okay, what's happening with the Japanese yen? Because really, what I'd be expecting is if there is risk off, if there is any sort of kind of recession warning, I would be expecting yen to strengthen right from the kind of lows it's held for a while, and I'd be curious to sort of watch and see if that's going to mean a flip in the COT as well. And finally, euro. Okay, so as I said, non-commercials. All right, they only added 400 long, and they added 2,600 shorts. Okay, and the commercials, right? The euro commercials, they're putting in the euro commercials, right? They've trimmed 16,000 longs and trimmed 18,000 shorts as well. It's kind of the sort of the large speculators. They are starting to sort of drift their way in. The commercials start to drift their way in as well. Small speculators, and it's not massively different there. Okay, but I would be interested to see whether if we are going to get some dollar strength, does that mean that it comes at the expense of the euro? When we look a little bit close to home, just looking at the STAM itself, interestingly, what we have seen is the euro, okay, is top of the pile today. right? Just a little bit of that 4 hour strength, whilst the Swiss franc, okay, is dropped. All right, it's dropped in sort of, well, second and third, and that's interesting. If we look at that Japanese yen, all right, bang, look at the strength there, okay, into those yen pairs. That that would be telling you there's a bit of risk off. The dollar, even though the dollar's got no weekly strength, look at the daily and the 4 hourly. It's up there, isn't it? Okay, so the dollar's there, and as we said, Aussie still low, Kiwi still low, sterling, all right, sterling is low, all right. That's that present thing that sterling kind of slipped into sixth, all right, and as we've just been saying, that shouldn't really be a massive. That shouldn't really be a massive shock. We've been talking about it for months now.